very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
Politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice.
Everything you read in the mainstream media is 100% true.
Welcome to Chopper Prophets, the actual video edition. We are joined today by Tony Nguyen.
Hi.
From LandSpeed Motorcycle Shop in Fountain Valley, California.
That's me. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the show, man. We have this huge audience back here.
This is the first video podcast, so...
It is.
Hopefully it'll work out.
We're experimenting, so... Now you get to see our mugs, you get to see the guest mugs, and hopefully that's good for everybody.
For some reason, my throat is super parched right now. We've been talking about doing this interview for months, and the one day we get to do it...
All of a sudden, throat locks up.
I'm a little parched.
Well, so the reason why I wanted to have Tony on the show is multifold. Tony has been a supporter for quite a few folks for a number of years. Not only in the chopper scene, well, I say quite a few folks, but probably I wouldn't be able to count because I don't know all the folks that you've helped, and I'm sure you'll tell us about that. Tony's never actually built a chopper specifically for Born Free. He has built plenty, and he's definitely a wheeler and dealer as far as parts and such go, and I've actually gained a lot of respect for Tony. Did we meet
we met at spaghetti night.
That's what it was.
At Cook's Corner.
Which was tonight. Yeah,
it was tonight. And you made me go tonight again.
I said, let's go get spaghetti. I had spaghetti for the first time tonight. So far, no stomach problems. So, but since I met Tony, we've kept in touch, and I've threatened to get him here in the studio, but then finally got the studio together / garage, as you can see in the background.
It's nice.
And thank you. And so we're here tonight, and we're gonna drill Tony about his life and how he got to where he's at. So, is there anything you want us to know specifically about Mr. Tony, shop owner, motorcycle enthusiast, surfer?
I like to skateboard. Skateboarding has, it's taught me never to give up.
That's legit.
You go out and you take a beating, and you get up and you do it again.
And that's legit.
And you really can apply that to, all aspects of your life.
That's legit. So, I've known a few skaters that have, not verbatim, but pretty much that same phrase. You can't give. If you want to get better, you can't give up.
Just don't give up. Whatever the fuck it is you're doing, don't give up.
Well, we're going to come back to that for sure. So, as far as the format of this podcast, I'm not changing anything now that it's video. We want to know, what your life was like growing up. What was it like being Tony the kid? Where'd you grow up? What was your family like?
Well, my family fled Vietnam back in 75 after the fall of Saigon. And we moved to the States. Initially, we're at a refugee camp in Camp Pendleton here in California. And we ended up getting sponsored by a church in Hawaii, in Honolulu. Mm. So we were there from 76 to about 79, and we moved back here to California, and I grew up in Orange County, in Tustin.
And what was that? I mean, do you have any recollection of actually, moving or fleeing with your family?
No, not then. I remember coming to California from Hawaii and asking, I had some money, some U.S. currency. I must have, $6. And asking my mom if the money was still going to be good when we made it over to California. Kind of funny.
It makes sense, right? As a kid?
To a 6-year-old, it sure did.
Yeah. So you landed in Tustin.
Landed in Tustin.
And what was that like growing up in Tustin? What were you into, and how long did you live there?
I lived in Tustin. Let's see. I went to Tustin Memorial, CT. Went to Tustin High School, Hillview, which is a continuation school. It's where all the awesome kids went.
I went to a continuation school, too.
See? It's funny because they take you to a smaller school and they surround you with like your best friends.
Yeah.
And they expect you to excel. It's funny because there used to be this little hill at the end of the field. We used to run up there and get high during class. And if the teachers came after us, we would hop the fence and bail for the rest of the day. So after a while, the teachers were like, you know what? We'll just let them get high and let them come back to class. And
we don't want them to ditch.
Exactly. So we come back just totally blazed and, still not do anything. It's continuation school.
Right. Well, but you were able to focus easier, right? High?
Absolutely.
See?
I'd focused on, when I was going to get the next chili billy. It was a funny time growing up. Tustin was cool. A lot of good friends. Not too many Asian kids until I reached high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was the only Asian kid in elementary school at Tustin Memorial.
That must have been early on in Tustin's heritage.
That was early on in Tustin's heritage. Yeah.
I say that not to sound racist, but it's just a fact that Irvine and Tustin are mostly Asian. Well, I take it back. I would say mostly Asian, Persian. It seems to be a bigger influx now of a Middle Eastern culture. Yeah,
back in the early 80s, I was just surrounded by a bunch of white kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into, other things, not even just white kids, just things that we did. We were riding BMX bikes. We were building BMX bikes. We were throwing dirt clods at each other. As I got older, there were other Asian kids at my school, at my high school, but by then I was already programmed to want to ride motorcycles and fucking build hot rods, and I loved muscle cars as a kid.
It's pretty rad. Was it kids around you that specifically influenced you to that, or were their dads into those things, or? One
of my good friends, Scott, who I hadn't seen in years, I just saw him a couple months ago, but his dad had a GTO.
Mm-hmm.
And when Scott was the first one of our friends to get a license.
Okay.
So he's 16, and he's driving around a bunch of 14, 15-year-old kids in his dad's GTO. And obviously, anytime you start from a stop,
yeah,
pedal to the metal.
Right.
And just light them up. And we'd all just be giggling and...
Stoked. Totally stoked.
Super fun time. But yeah, everybody's dad was into hot rods and bikes and stuff, so...
So that definitely played a part in you think you going kind of that direction as far as motorcycles and
that. My brother, my second oldest brother Tim, he had a bike. I had actually ended up getting it from him, but it was an old Ninja 600 street bike, and
nice.
I rode the shit out of that. This was before the helmet law,
right?
So we used to ride, Palm Springs, and we used to cruise Balboa. Balboa back in the 80s, early 90s was the spot to cruise.
Do you remember the Volkswagens cruising through there?
Oh, yeah.
That was probably in one of those.
Oh, yeah. Well, you didn't, bikes, Volkswagens, you just cruise whatever you had.
Yeah.
You'd see girls cruising in station wagons, and you'd try to get in there.
Right.
We would cruise in my friend's dad's Suburban, and we'd roll, 10 deep in the thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before the seatbelt law, obviously.
Before the seatbelt, you could fill up, a Ford Ranger with 10 kids in the back.
When things were cool.
It's funny. Thinking back then, I always thought, we can't get away with shit. This is lame. We can't do anything. And you looking back, it's good God, I can't believe the stuff we got away with.
Yeah, compared to now.
We were stupid, young, destructive kids,
That's okay. I think, I think that through those times, I know I can speak for myself, and I'm sure you may agree, may not, but through those times and the things we did, stupid or not, we learned a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We learned a lot about ourselves, we learned a lot about our friends, and, maybe what true friendship is and all that stuff.
I always had to learn things my way, the hard way, whatever.
Right.
I couldn't just listen to anybody. I had to do it myself.
Right.
If they say, "Hey, Tony, if you jump off that fucking cliff, you're gonna get hurt," I'd be like, "You know what? No, I'm not." And I would jump it, and I get hurt, and I'd be like, "Okay, well, I probably won't be doing that again."
You came back up, and you were like, "I landed wrong. If I jump right, I won't."
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear that. My wife, I think, would agree that I learn things the hard way. I don't listen to people unless I really respect them. And there's probably very few people that I actually respect that I would heed their advice.
You know, it took me a long time to figure out exactly how dumb I was and how little I knew.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think well into my 30s, I was like, you know what? I don't know shit. I really don't. I need to start acting right more. I mean, you know, up until...
You said that was in your 30s?
In my 30s, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, probably until around 35. Like, I was a wild animal. You know, I lived up in Mammoth for a number of years, and from 96 to 2006, those years were... It was buck wild up there, man. It was like the Wild West. Me and a bunch of kids, and all we wanted to do was snowboard and
Right.
party and kick ass. That's all we did. In no particular order.
Right. And that was... So how old were you when you were up there?
96,
20s? Mid-20s?
25, 24, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time because this was before NOS had moved into the town and taken it over. It was still like a ski town. And there were still ski bums. You know, guys that just did it just so they can get on the hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, talk about getting away with stuff, I don't think there's very many of those left. I mean, now that, you know, Ski Town is not Ski Town, it's like Ski City.
There's that, there's cameras everywhere, everybody's got phones, everything's being recorded. Every aspect of your life is being recorded. And
yeah. We should talk about that later on. I want to find out how you got to the point where, at some point you decided that you loved motorcycles so much you wanted to work on them. At what point did that come? I mean, were you tinkering on things before that?
Well, coming from a refugee family, we kind of, you know, I had 4 older brothers and an older sister. We didn't have a whole lot of money. You know, my earliest recollections of my parents were my mom, she worked at a McDonald's in Hawaii.
Okay.
My dad worked at a Chevron station, pumping gas in the full service. So not a whole lot of money was, you know, being thrown at us. And we had to fix everything we had, whatever it was. Cars, chairs. You know, my mom sewed everything. It's when we came to Hawaii, to California from Hawaii, all the kids around here had, like, corduroy shorts, like OP corduroy shorts. Yep. My mom couldn't afford that, so she made me some, but she made me some with, like, the fatter cords. Oh, okay. Instead of the regular skinny cords that all the other kids had. So I was embarrassed, but I still had to rock it, and I wish I still had that stuff. And
first of all, it would be seriously considered vintage now.
It would be very vintage, but it would be cool that my mom made it for me. She made a lot of our clothes.
That's pretty awesome.
Which was not awesome at the time, right? But thinking back on it, you know, like, she was a very amazing woman.
There's I mean, obviously we can talk more about this, you know, after we get through the meat of your interview. But I think that that's a value that has been lost mostly in society, especially on the West Coast that I've seen. I mean, you have people getting back into, like, making things and repairing things, but we definitely come from I don't know if you would agree, but we definitely come from a kind of throw it away society.
Disposable society. Once it's broken, throw it away. Yeah. Good thing they didn't do that with all these old Harleys, huh? Right. I mean, honestly, they probably did that. You know, I heard this story about Fidel. You know, once they did the embargo, he took, I guess, 40 or 50 Harleys in Cuba and put them in a big hole and buried them. I think this is urban legend. I don't know if it's true or not.
I was going to say, we need to find that hole.
Apparently, there's a Harley graveyard somewhere in Cuba. And,
if you know anything about this and you're listening to this show and you're from Cuba and you know anything about the hole, I think we need to investigate. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, go find those things, man. They're all panheads. And knuckleheads.
Waste.
Speaking of knuckleheads,
you're talking to one right now. Did you like that? That was good.
I've been wanting one for a long time, and I just got my little grubby hands on some finally.
And tell us about that, because I have a feeling this is going to intertwine into the shop and all that, because this is kind of the core of your business. I mean, the core, I should say, is service, but you're very, very good at
the hustle.
I was going to say the hustle and the clothes. Like, I started a hashtag a while back that says always be choppering, but I think the real meaning behind that, always be closing.
Always be closing.
I think that really fits you. Not in a negative way.
No, it's like this game. It's a lot of fun for me. Finding the stuff and negotiating and, just getting them to, like, why would they sell it to me rather than somebody else?
Right.
Or why would they buy from me?
Why would they?
I don't know.
Well, in my experience,
I keep it as real as I can. I tell it like it is, and if you come into the shop and you don't need a repair, you're not going to get it.
Right. Which is good.
If you say, my valves are knocking, I listen to them. Well, it's not really that bad. I think you're okay for now. Then
you probably are.
Yeah.
And to add to that, there's a lot of, and I've heard this put out there before, and this is no dig on, the mechanics that are out there working their butts off, but I think that our mechanics have become, parts changers. And I've heard people say that, to where, unless it's really in-depth work, you're rebuilding a motor, you're doing a valve job, you're doing some serious work, replacing bearings, whatever it may be, it's really just, and I'm speaking mostly to the Harley side of things, you're mostly just getting parts taken off and put on the bike.
Well, I mean, with Japanese bikes, Honda and Yamaha, there's not a whole lot going on there because those things work.
Right.
And they'll work for a long time. They won't work, you'll put it away, and you'll come back 15 years later and just clean the carpet, and it'll fire right up.
Right. But with Harley, if I'm just a Joe Blow Harley owner, I went and bought a new, 2009 or 2014, whatever it may be, and I take my bike into the dealership, there's a good chance that whether I need service or not, I'm going to get charged for some stuff.
Yeah, I think, some of those dealerships, they have pretty serious overhead.
Yeah.
Which, I'm lucky. I'm actually very lucky. I have a fairly low overhead, and it allows me to provide, better service, cheaper service.
Yeah. And anyone who's been to your shop knows that, well, how about this? If you haven't been to the shop, you'll know that it's not cheaper service in the terms of like cheaper parts, cheaper, doing cheap work, shoddy work. It's in the sense that you don't have a huge place. I mean, it's not gigantic in the sense of like a dealership. You don't have like 6 bays, right?
Right.
You have your place where you're working on. You have your showroom. You've got a machine shop, so to speak, out back. And then you've got your customer parking out in back.
That's it, man.
So you're allowed, being that you're the business owner, you're allowed to pass on that savings to people who come and get work done.
Right.
And even so much as I've seen a lot of your friends who come by, this is kind of one of my first impressions of Tony. I come over to the shop, and there's more people working on bikes than Tony and Eric. That's the type of person that you are.
My girlfriend, Andrea, she calls it Free Fridays.
Only on Fridays, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, just this one Friday, this guy had broken down the freeway, and he'd broken his chain, so, he pushed his bike to my shop, and he didn't have a dime on him, so of course we're going to get him back on the road.
Right.
And then, somebody else came and like, hey, I can't get this part off, so, we bust out the impacts, and we buzz it off for him. I'm not going to charge you, any money to use my impact,
right,
for me to use my impact on your thing for 5 minutes or less.
Well, and a lot of people think that there's not a place for that in society. Some people don't live their life that way or do their business that way.
Yeah, there's just, I notice a lack of customer service. I think just not in just motorcycles, but across the board. Mm-hmm. A lot of people show up their jobs and they just work, and they're just there to collect their paycheck. They're clocking in, they're clocking out. They really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And at the shop, people text me all day and all night long with their problems, and I try to get them on the road. I don't know. I try to have some sort of relationship with my customers, and that's what brings them back.
I would fully agree with that. I think there's a point where maybe it's a societal thing, just, a generational thing. I'm sure our grandparents and our parents and our grandparents' parents saw, greater customer service, more politeness, more kindness, more compassion. And then you get to our generation, and it's really a me.
Right. Instant gratification.
Yeah, yeah.
And social media has really changed the marketplace. 20 years ago, I would probably have to send out mailers to everybody in Fountain Valley and Orange.
Recycler.
The recycler, yeah. And just hit at the penny saver and probably hit, I don't know, 1% of my target market. Mm-hmm. And with social media, like everybody who follows me on Facebook or Instagram or Tumblr or what have you, it's direct marketing. Yeah. And it's not even really, it's not like I'm marketing anything.
It's not like you're spending time coming up with a marketing scheme. You're just being you.
I'm like, there's a funny photo of my dog, so I put it up. Or I made the sissy bar for the so-and-so, and I put it up. I got this bike for sale or this part for sale. And there's a dude, Chopper Swapper. I think he's out of Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And he has really, really changed the way parts are being bought and sold.
Yeah, I would agree.
Everybody now hashtags everything Chopper Swapper. Yeah. And you can find anything. And I sell stuff on there so fast. I had a knucklehead wheel on there yesterday, and it sold in 10 minutes.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And how much does he charge for that service?
He charges $0, So the first few that he did for me, I sent him some money, and then I saw he was printing shirts. Mm-hmm. So now, like, anytime I do something big, I just buy a couple of shirts from him, and I pass them out to people at the shop.
See, I didn't even know that. So that's pretty awesome. For those of you who are watching this or listening to the podcast, if you follow Chopper Swapper, or if you use Chopper Swapper and you actually buy things through Chopper Swapper, he's not making any money off that. He hasn't contacted me or Tony to do a plug on the show at all. No. But you know what? I have interacted with him through either direct messaging or through a email. What do you call it? A post? I don't think I did email with him, and everything that this guy does, he does for free with Chopper Swapper. So do yourself a favor and support him. Support those who are supporting you. So how do you feel like? I mean, what I get from what you're saying is that social media has really changed your business all around.
It changes the way I don't really consider it marketing. Yeah. Instagram's like a fun little app. That's all I see it as.
Right. Well, and you obviously use it for that a lot of times too. I mean, you've got some stuff that you post about the best of. Oh man, Craigslist.
So if anyone out there has ever sold in Craigslist, you've all gotten the same text that I've gotten. And like growing up when I was a kid, me and my friends, all we did was bag on each other, just quick comebacks. And if and sending it back in text form, you have actually a couple minutes to think about it. Right. Before we had, 3 seconds tops, and you're out of time. We're on the next bag. But via text, you can be very, very witty and very, very funny. And I started this thing. I was doing this a couple years ago, I think, or right when, I don't know when Instagram first started, but I started taking screenshots of it and posting them up, and people like it. I think it's funny. I mostly do it to entertain myself, but then, I send it out there for everybody else.
Yep. Sad for the people who are texting and wanting to get parts and such, but funny for all of us who get to see it, because they're pretty witty. I mean, some of them can seem pretty harsh, but it's the harsh reality of dealing with things or people off of Craigslist, Right. I try to be, if I'm buying something off Craigslist or if I'm just inquiring, they'll say, send text for questions or whatever. I was trying to buy some camping gear. So I'm texting this person that said they posted all this gear and it said $25. Well, what they didn't say, obviously, in the thing was
for each.
Yeah, $25 each, or starting at 25. Right. So I'm texting this person saying, how much for this? Is it $25 for the lot? And they were nice, So I try to be forthcoming like that. Like, hey, I'm not coming at you with cash right now. I just want to know what you have. Right. And I'll let you know if I want to pursue buying it. And I usually get a good response that way. But some of the things I've seen for you, it's like, hey, bro, what's the lowest you're willing to go? And you're like, what's the most you're willing to pay?
That's the standard answer. Yeah. They always ask, what's the cheapest I can get it for? And I say, what's the most I will sell it to you for? I mean, they're asking me to negotiate for them, and I will negotiate for them, but I will do it very poorly,
Right. You'll do it in your favor.
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Right. Well, tell us then, let's back up a step and tell us about LandSpeed. How did LandSpeed get started?
LandSpeed got started, I was working for another shop called Tech 9. It was like a sport bike shop. Mm-hmm. and I was out to lunch with my friend Janae and my friend Jesse, and we were just talking about Janae does like marketing for Hollywood and stuff, and I wanted to do this thing where a website where I got a bunch of a motorcycle database together, and anytime you wanted to rent a bike, you'd go to the motorcycle database and pick up whatever bike you wanted, and we'd bring it to you. And we were thinking of names, and we came up with LandSpeed. And then it kind of just got thrown on the back shelf. And then I was working for this other shop, and the owner Felix had kind of he had some personal issues. Some inner demons he had to deal with, so the shop ended up folding, and I was working out of the garage, and I moved to my friend's little shop, and then another shop, and I opened up my own shop in a smaller spot next door to where I'm at now. It was like 1,300 square feet. It was just me. It was very dark and lonely.
This was the desert years for Tony.
It really was, because anytime there was good surf, I would totally blow off work, and I'd wander into the shop at like noon or 1 because I didn't have anybody to answer to.
Right.
And if I surfed for that long, I'd show up just completely drained.
Right, of course.
So yeah, it was hard working there by myself.
Yeah.
And then this guy I know, a fantastic mechanic, Eric Martinez. Eric worked at Beach Yamaha for a number of years.
Okay.
And then when they parted ways, he was looking to open up his own place. And like he and I got to talking, and then he came on board, and he's just this valuable asset.
That's awesome. Eric is pretty fantastic.
He is, and it's not that he's a great dirt bike tech or a street bike guy or a Harley guy. He's very knowledgeable, and he's very smart. And it's good to have something like that at the shop to bounce ideas off of, or if I get stuck somewhere, the third, like just an extra set of eyes on something will get you through some, tough spots.
Yep.
It works both ways. It's cool. I love having Eric there. He's become, quite indispensable.
That's pretty awesome. Not everybody can say that about their workmates.
No, Eric is awesome.
Most people want to dispense of their workmates.
and Eric is funny as hell, and we get along great.
So you open LandSpeed, and you're in that small place, and then you move into this bigger shop now. Yeah,
when I opened up LandSpeed, next door to me where my shop is now was a compound pharmacy. And the owner of that, came in with his Mercedes and his hot secretary, and he's like, hey, how much are you paying for this? How about if I buy you out, because I need more space? And it's funny because 2 years later I ended up taking over his spot. I guess the government had changed some laws which put them out of business.
Dope.
Yeah. So I'd always wanted the spot next door.
Yeah.
And I got it. And there's a loft upstairs, I thought, oh, it'd be so great to live there.
Yeah. But your girlfriend didn't think so.
Absolutely not. No way.
Always our chicks grounding us.
She's helped me through a lot. She's gotten me definitely to where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I bounce everything off of her, and I have some terrible, terrible ideas that she shoots down. And in retrospect, thank God I had her there.
Yeah. I can totally identify.
So, thank you, Andrea.
So LandSpeed, then how long has LandSpeed been open?
I was next door for 2 years, and then this coming May will be another 2 years. So this coming May will be 4 years.
Awesome.
I've been doing it.
And as far as like your involvement in this chopper community, because we kind of started, I led off with how you're constantly helping folks, and I mean we could leave it at that, and that's all people would know. But I know specifically that you've helped people get to, to Born Free.
Born Free, I just want to get them back on the road. Honestly,
Right.
People come with ideas, but they don't know how to reach their ideas, reach their dreams. So I just kind of assist.
Yeah.
That's all I do, man. I'm not a bike builder by any means.
But you do have some bikes that you want to get built.
Of course. I've got a lot of projects that are really hard to get to because the service side is doing good, you know?
Which is a good problem to have.
It's a great problem. I'm very lucky, very blessed that I have a great customer base.
I accept the position, by the way. I'll come in and finish your project bikes.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I may have to ask you a bunch of questions in the meantime. But
no problem.
As long as I don't have to quit my day job, I could just come in maybe for an hour each day, maybe half an hour.
It's so hard to get to them. By the end of the day, you know, like around 6 o'clock, things quiet down.
Yeah.
And I'm tired.
Absolutely.
So I may tinker around with my own stuff, but probably not.
Yeah. It takes work. I mean, you can't see it here in the back. Well, maybe you can in Tony's camera, but in anything that I do, I have to pull things out of the garage to even get to them. And then once I get them out, it's usually there's a few minutes of like mocking it up to look at it. And by the time I finish that, I'm done. I'm tired. I just want to put it all away and go back inside. So I can imagine, because I've seen your shop, and there are quite a few bikes in there, including your project bikes. And plus then you've got, I know you recently have started building out your showcase area in the front. I mean, you've got some stuff set up.
I've been wanting to do that, you know. The whole shop has been a work in progress since I moved in a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
When I first moved in, I had a lot of space, and I didn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
And I filled it up pretty quick. And it just seems like I'm constantly cleaning. I actually recently brought in my nephew to help sort through all our hardware because nobody wants to waste 20 minutes a day looking for 5/16 18 nuts.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I've been doing that, and I've been acquiring little tools here and there and just kind of getting the place dialed in and cleaned up. And I've been trying to get like the showroom area dialed in and cleaned up. And I just need to know where everything is.
Right. Right. And I mean that helps. That helps also unclutter the chaos that can affect you emotionally and mentally from working in a place that's cluttered. Right. So that's good. Tell us about your appearance last year at Born Free. You had a booth, or a place. Yeah, I had a booth, and we did this weenie toss. I came up with the idea late night. This must have been a good idea because Andrea said yes. Or maybe she didn't and you just overruled her. I think she said yes, but like kind of off the cuff, didn't think it was actually going to happen. Right. But I came up with the idea for a weenie toss because, well, let me backpedal a little bit. I used to have ride-in night movie theaters. Right. You know, at the shop, I'd show a movie on the back wall. Everybody would ride in and hang out, and I'd barbecue and stuff. And the next day, there would be a bunch of hot dogs left over. So we would throw the hot dogs over the fence at like this little, it's like a little remote control car or something. For one reason or another, it was on the other side of the fence, sitting on a rock. So we'd throw hot dogs and try to hit the thing. You know, when it got slow, we'd gamble back there, right. You know, betting like $5 so you could hit the car. Anyways, we came up with this idea for a weenie toss, and I told my friend John Moss, who's an incredible industrial designer and artist. John is good at a lot of things. Yeah. He never ceases to amaze me. But he painted this thing for me, and this girl in a compromised position, to say the least. Thank you for keeping that PG. Yeah. And you could throw these hot dogs at this painting, and if it went in a certain spot, you won a t-shirt, and if it went in the smaller spot, you won an oil change. Needless to say, it was a hit. There was no oil changes given away. No oil changes were given away. Yeah, lots of t-shirts went out. Right, which is cool. And you know, I think I'm gonna do a free t-shirt thing maybe next year at Born Free. I'm gonna have my friend come out and pull t-shirts and just give them away. That has also been another way for me to market. Like, yeah. I'm not going to make any money selling t-shirts, am I? I don't Some think people so. Do. Some people do. Some people make a lot of money at it. I don't know what that's like. I think for you, what happens is, just from what I've seen, just people knowing that there's a shop that's locally owned, supported, that someone who supports this chopper culture, and it's close by.
Right.
That in and of itself is pretty huge, because it's mostly, I mean, from what I've seen, you get a small shop that's like a maybe the size of my garage or less, like a 1-car garage. A guy rents it out in his spare time, or maybe 2 guys rent it out, and that's their shop. You and I aren't going to go and be able to hang out with them, even if we became their friends. We're not going to hang out with them and be able to work on our bikes there. It's just not how it works.
Right.
But you have a shop, a professional shop, where you do service. You even have dealerships sending you older Harleys that they don't want to work on. Right? That's
actually a crying shame. I can't believe that happened.
But still, that's good for you.
It is good for me. It's hard to. I can't really wrap my head around that.
Right.
How that happened.
Right.
But anyways, it did happen, and I got the kid back on his bike the next day.
And it's a good thing. I have another guy I think I threatened to send to you as well, a friend of mine at work. I gave him all your information, so I don't know if he's contacted you yet, but he's got an older, I think it's a shovelhead.
Okay.
And he tried taking it to a couple dealers, and they just said, yeah, we don't work on those.
Right. You know who sends me a lot of business is Kirk over at Sporty Parts.
Okay.
He has a little, he sells parts in Fullerton, sportster only, mostly ironhead stuff. And not too many people work on ironheads.
Yeah.
I'll work on whatever.
Right.
I mean, if it's slow at the shop and your lawnmower's not working, bring it in, man.
Compression check.
Yeah, we'll do a compression check. See where we're at.
Clean out the carb, go.
Of course.
We'll race it later. Well, let's talk about maybe what your future vision for LandSpeed is. Obviously, you just said, you're not going to try and make a living off of selling T-shirts and merch, but you do have a good collection of parts that you come across, and you put those up for sale, and you do service, and so what's your vision for LandSpeed future-wise?
I kind of like where we're at right now. I wouldn't mind expanding a little bit more, maybe hiring another tech or two, and so I can actually work on my own stuff.
So you could be a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Without the stress.
It's funny because I do wear a lot of hats at the shop. I would like to wear fewer hats.
Yeah.
But I think Born Free is the only show here in Orange County. It'd be cool to have another one. Maybe like an uninvited builders show.
Yeah.
I've been hashtagging a lot of uninvited builders, like for a lot of local guys who are building cool shit.
Yeah. There are, that's the kind of the thing that since this culture, I guess since I came into the culture is what I'm trying to say, which was, only a couple of years ago, but I've actually seen it expand, exponentially. And I think that's a good thing in some ways. Obviously, you're going to have people coming in, and that hashtag and that buzzword of hipster gets thrown around a lot, but everybody's got to check out, what they like and what they,
right,
if they really want to get into it or what they want to do. So you're going to have influx of people coming in and out, but the one good thing is you have a lot of people that maybe didn't know they even had a talent for building bikes or making parts or machining things or whatever, or painting,
right,
that are now, starting to come to their own.
Right.
And who knows, So there's a huge community there.
Yeah, there's a true art to it. Who was I just thinking of the other day I thought was a great artist? I mean, a lot of mechanics are.
Yeah.
I can't even, it's totally evaded me.
Well, and to add to your point of the fact that it would be cool to have another show, because I think I derailed us, is that there are some other cool things going on, like the man behind Lady Hump, Alan.
Right.
Alan does a lot of cool things. I mean, I think he at some point had, not made a promise, but basically had said, I'm going to have at least, one event a month or one event a week or some crazy thing like that, and has done a good job at stuff together. Alan is good at that. He gets together with the guys at Gaster Lounge, and they do a lot of cool stuff. They're doing a Halloween ride next week. The full costume Halloween ride? Yeah, full costume. we would do one, me and my friends Brian and Bryce and a couple other cats. We would get together and do, we'd call it the Halloween Death Ride. Nice. And a couple years we dressed up as the Mad Max guys, and that's awesome. Now it's just kind of been whatever. I think last year I went as Bruce Lee in the yellow jumpsuit. That's epic.
The fat, retired Bruce Lee.
Lies. He's telling lies. As far as being fat, he's in shape. He surfs. You can't be out of shape and surf.
Oh, there's lots of fat surfers that rip. I'm not one of them, but there are plenty of them.
Nice. Nicely played. Well, there's two questions that I always like to ask in the interview, and I'm going to start with the first. And people have many, many different views, or interpretations, I should say, of this question. Both questions, actually. So you interpret it how you think it should apply to you. But I like to ask, what's the worst thing that you've had to experience in your life to date?
I vanished off the face of the earth for a number of years.
You're being serious.
I'm being totally serious.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were starting in maybe joking. But...
No, I did some... I went on vacation, we'll call it that.
Mm-hmm.
For about 30 months.
Wow.
In some pretty harsh areas. With some awful people. And that has actually changed my whole perspective, you know. That's really transformed me from being that wild, crazy snowboarder kid who had, you know, zero fucks.
Right.
Like, I just didn't. Back then, I didn't give a shit. Now I have a lot of respect for people, and it's just really changed my outlook on the world, on people, and how you treat people. Yeah, that was a hard time. That was probably the hardest thing I'd ever had to do.
Was that was your vacation a self-taken vacation, or was it one that was imposed upon you?
Federal. Let's just leave it at that.
That's
but it was an ugly time in my life, and you know, I disappeared. A lot of people didn't know what happened. Honestly, I didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
A victim of circumstances, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I got tied in some stuff that I had no business being tied into, but...
I have a buddy that happened to, actually.
You know, the way the feds work, they just take you.
Yeah, it's kind of like fishing, you know, big net. They just grab.
They really do. And some of those federal laws, the guidelines they have, they really don't give the judges any power.
Yeah.
A lot of power lies in the prosecution. It's very unfair. It's very skewed.
That's heavy, man. I got to be honest with you. In the 3 seasons I've been doing this, that's right up there with some of the heaviest answers I've had. I mean, I've had, you know, I lost my mom, and this was really difficult, or something happened.
I've lost my mom and dad. I lost them, thank the Lord, before I went on my vacation, because that would have been twice as heavy.
Yeah. What, and this is usually the follow-up question, because I like to try and end on something that's like a more positive. You know, some people take that question of
it was a hard time for me, but I gained a lot out of it.
That's what I was going to say.
I learned a lot out of it.
Yeah.
So, would I like to get that time back? You know, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day when I wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning, I go till late. You know, I run 12 to 15-hour days all day long.
It's a lot of hours.
Every day. Every day I run. I go until I can't go anymore, and I go home. I eat something, and I'm out cold.
That's hard work.
But you know what? I do my best to do the right thing, and it makes me sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
I have no regrets. I think every day when I go to sleep, my day was well spent.
Not a lot of people can say that. I mean, I sit here before you and know that there's some nights I lay in my bed and think, you know, I really didn't apply myself at all today. Excuse me, I'm not winking at you. I got dust or something in my eye. But I lay in bed and I think, you know, I didn't do the best that I could. And that's, it doesn't haunt me, but it definitely leaves me with a sense that I know I'm not doing the best I can. Like for work. You work for somebody, you should be giving your all, you know. But I know.
If you work for somebody, you know, what you're really doing is you're selling the best hours of your day to that person.
Yeah.
Your time, it really is currency.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's not all about work. Take time out for yourself. Be sure you take time out for yourself. like early morning when the world's still asleep.
Yeah.
I'm out in the water, and all those guys are out in the water, and this is our time.
Yeah. That's wisdom right there, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us about maybe what the best thing that you've experienced in life to date.
Wow. A lot of things, My girlfriend Andrea has been... She's played a pivotal role in where I'm at now. She really has. She's brought a lot of... She's made things that didn't make sense to me, anyways. Getting it's like having Eric in the shop, an extra set of eyes on a problem. She's
like an extra set of eyes on your life.
On my life, absolutely. Yeah. Just this last year has been really good for me. A lot of good things have happened. As far as finances, this is like the best I've ever done. Like, in the last 42 years, this is the best I've ever done. I can go out, eat whatever I want, whenever I want. And that, honestly, it hasn't always been like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not like that for a lot of people.
Right.
And it's not like I'm rolling in money. I can, when I go to gas station, I fill up my truck.
Yeah.
That has never happened to me before. I don't have a brand new truck, but when I do need gas, I will fill it up.
Yeah.
I pay my insurance on time. I pay all my bills on time.
Not everybody can say that right now.
Not everybody can say that right now. So I am very lucky, very blessed. 2014 has been good to me.
Good.
To say the least. And I've been doing my best to, kind of give back to everybody that comes in. Well,
it shows. And I think I started out saying this, that your character to me showed through. Even the first time we had a conversation sitting at the benches at Cook's, there was something. I mean, amidst all those guys, not saying anything about those guys, but just there was something that stuck out to me about your character, and I'm glad that you took the opportunity and that I took the effort also to communicate with you and become acquaintances and friends. And
well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just people. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if you're the president of the United States or some dude bugging me for money. This guy approached me at the gas station not too long ago, and I knew he was panhandling. Mm-hmm. And right when he got to me, before he could say it, I asked him for money.
Nice.
I disarmed him, and I caught him off guard. He's like, "Oh, well, I got 96 cents."
Was he going to give you the 96 cents?
He gave it to me.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I watched this video online, and it was this kid going around to different people, eating and asking them for food, and they wouldn't give him any food. Have you seen this video?
Yeah, I've seen this one.
And then they give a homeless guy a pizza, and the homeless guy's sitting there, on the bench eating the pizza by himself, and some kid rolls up and asks for a slice, and the homeless guy's like, "Yeah, you can have a slice of pizza."
Yeah, they did that with a couple people, and each time the homeless person always gave them, whatever, half or some of what they had to eat.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I think it shows, to your point, I think it shows that when we're comfortable or when we feel comfortable, we're not so apt to want to open ourselves up or be able to be generous. But when you have nothing left to lose, what do you care about being embarrassed in public, giving somebody some food? What do you care about? It just doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'm stoked that you were the first video cast.
Me too. No, this was cool. I'm glad we talked about all kinds of stuff. It didn't just bike this, bike that.
Yeah, that's not what it's about. I mean,
I wasn't sure what I was getting into when I said I agreed to come on Chopper Prophets.
Well, we're gonna do the technical podcast or the technical cast next. We're gonna talk all about bikes. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Because like I said before, I'm not a bike builder.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm just a mechanic. I'm just trying to get by. I'm trying to keep the lights on, keep everybody around me happy.
Well, regardless of that, and I agree with you, I think that what you do, you affect people around you, and there's not too many people that do that in a positive manner nowadays. So I think that's a good thing, and I give you props for that.
Well, everybody should do that. I mean, I think it's your social responsibility to take care of the people around you.
Yeah. Not everybody feels that way though nowadays.
If something's wrong is going on, you see it. You're responsible to step up to say something at the very least.
Yeah,
I would think.
You just had to look around at what's going on as far as, in my opinion, police overstepping their abilities, or I shouldn't say abilities, they're
creating crime is what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, straight up murder and brutality and all that stuff. And what's catching up to, and not every, so don't get me wrong. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're a law enforcement of any kind, I don't hate law enforcement. And I don't think Tony hates law enforcement.
Not at all.
But I think that there's an element to any group, club, gang, whatever you want to call it, that has that corrupt elements. It has those corrupt elements.
Peter Parker's Uncle Ben said, with great power comes a greater responsibility.
Amen.
And a lot of guys aren't living up to that standard.
Yeah. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the news. We're seeing it online. In fact, I don't watch any mainstream news for the most part. I may catch a video here and there online by accident, but most of the news I see are Vice and media channels that are independent, and they report and they're showing videos uploaded by other people actually taping police brutality and things like that. And I forget what got us off on this kick, but not everybody in society wants to step up and maybe speak out against that. But if I saw someone being beat down by police, you better believe I would pull my bike over and say something.
You should.
Because that could be me. That could be you.
Absolutely.
And we could have done nothing wrong.
It could be our moms.
Right, exactly.
It's somebody's something.
Right.
So, yeah, you need to really step up, and we'll see what happens, I've been watching, I haven't had cable in almost 20 years. Everything I get is from the internet or from, Facebook. No.
Right. I get all my news from Facebook.
Yeah, right. I get a lot of my laughs from Facebook.
Right.
There's some funny shit going on in Facebook.
There is some pretty funny stuff.
The rest of the crap that people are posting, what's funny is a lot of the fake stuff people are posting. Mm-hmm. And then they say, hey, it's not fake, or it is fake. I snoped it. Like, Snopes fake. Everything's fake.
Right.
It's all a bunch of zeros and ones.
So there's that saying, right? My dad used to tell me this. Believe nothing of what you hear and half of what you see.
Right.
Well, nowadays, we see a lot. But what we see can be easily altered.
Of course.
So I think the new saying should be, believe none of what you hear, none of what you see, unless you experience it yourself. I mean, it's really hard to experience things virtually unless you were there. Right.
No, yeah, there's a lot of disinformation going on out there.
Yeah, for sure. So do your part, people. Stay sharp. And if you have problems staying sharp, go follow Tony on Instagram at LandSpeed Motorcycle Shop.
That's it. If you want to see some funny stuff. If you want to look at pictures of my dog, definitely follow me.
She's the boss. You have to go look at her and see how she runs the shop.
She's pretty funny. If not that, then check out the hashtag Best of Craigslist.
That's a good one for sure.
I was talking to my friend Jesse Dauber. He is known as Sketchy Tank on Instagram. He's an illustrator. Great artist, great artist. But we were kind of laughing at doing a little toilet book of, it's shaped like an iPhone. You open it up, and it's got my text to these people. And on the other side, he'll draw like what's going on in the text.
I would buy it for sure, and I would push it, advertise it out to the audience for sure, because that would be funny.
I think it'd be pretty funny.
Awesome.
I probably could only sell it for 50 cents a book or something.
Oh, it's a toilet book, And for the publishing costs nowadays, it might be pretty inexpensive to put out. So
yeah, right.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you for being on Chopper Prophets.
No, hey, thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you on, and we'll keep tabs with you, because I know that there's a certain shovelhead, I think, that's still in your showroom that I would love to have someday. So
more than likely, if it's mine, it won't be getting finished anytime soon. So. Lots of basket cases here at the shop.
And if you need some parts, there's some rare parts. I know he does deal in some rare parts. He's got a rare parts room. Not everybody gets to see that.
You guys, everybody who shows up can check stuff out. I don't care.
Dang it, I'm not special.
It's all just a bunch of metal. At the end of the day, you're more important than the metal.
And that's what I like about this guy. He gets it. People are more important. That's what this podcast is about. It's about showing that people are what matter. These things that we ride and love and put our passions into and all that, they're going to fade away.
At the end of the day, they're just things, you know.
Yeah.
Chopper this, chopper that, cafe. You know, yeah, come down to Huntington on any given Saturday morning. You can see me riding around my scooter.
Meep, meep.
I ride a scooter. I love riding my scooter. It's got surf racks on it. It literally crushes PCH.
It's awesome.
I take that thing everywhere.
He's not lying. I'm serious.
I'm not lying whatsoever.
Now you got to Instagram a picture of, have Andrea take a picture of you on your scooter with a board or something or whatever, or pulling a wheelie, whatever, and put it up there.
I'll blast one pretty soon here.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for being on.
All right. Thank you.